It is a great privilege and honor to introduce to you the 2010 Right Care Award winner, Greg Schaffner.
I really, very sincerely thank you for this wonderful award. I accept it on behalf of literally thousands of other caregivers who could just as easily be up here. Good people who do good work day in, day out with no thought of any award such as this. Having said that, I realize I'm probably a little different than most other caregivers in this system. For three reasons, really. One, I have a beard. The second is my extreme youth. And then, more to the point, I primarily take care of men, and I primarily offer companionship as opposed to housekeeping or medical chores. When people ask me, I say, what do you do, Greg? I say, have you ever read the book Tuesdays with Morrie? Well, that's my life. I spend Tuesdays with Clyde. Clyde is the born-again son of a Kentucky coal miner and moonshiner. And as a child, Clyde used to run from the revenuers right beside his old man. I spend Wednesdays with Roger. Roger is a former Navy pilot who flew dive bombers on and off aircraft carriers in the Korean War. After leaving the military, Roger became a doctor and founded and ran the Blood Coagulation Center at the University of Minnesota. On Thursdays, I go out to the garage with my friend Jim and we build boats. And this is a man whose lifelong dream was to do this and had a stroke, and you know the story apparently, that's been widely shared. What has not been shared is the question somebody asked me, well, now what? The boat's done. Boat 2. We built a 12-foot boat. That was therapy. Jim has a garage that's 18 feet deep. The new boat is 17 feet long. I don't know how we're going to do that, but anyway, we've picked it out. We'll order it in April, and I can hardly wait. So stay tuned. That's Thursday. On Friday, I spend my Fridays with Bill, who is a Jehovah's Witness, a widower, and one of the warmest and friendliest men I have ever met in my life. Now, these wonderful men have experiences I've never had. They have opinions I don't always agree with. They have attitudes and responses to life that inspire me. So it is a privilege. It's not a terrible burden. It's a privilege to work with these wonderful people. To do this, you can't just do this out of the blue. You need a structure. And I am really blessed to have Paul and Bob to be working for their particular franchise. Without that structure, I couldn't do it. I depend on them. There are all kinds of boundaries that come up, and this is no news to anybody here. And some of these boundaries are tricky, and there's so many issues that are not black and white. I depend especially on the 2 social workers that they have on staff. I'm constantly saying, How about this? How about that? And often what they say back is, it's not do this, do that. It's, well, you could try this. They've seen these things, and so often I follow their advice, and it's right on. There's one particular thing I want to just give as an example. I ran into a situation where there was a man who was in steep decline, sudden decline, and I didn't think things were right. I called the office, talked to the particular social worker. She said, "Greg, you are a mandated reporter by law." I knew this sort of in the abstract, but when it's right there in front of you, you take a deep gulp. And she said, "You've got to pick up the phone, and here's the number you call." I did. The upshot was we had some very upset, family members. They took it out on the social worker, not me. It was a social worker who had to handle that call. But our client got the 24-hour, 7 days a week care that he then needed. So the Right at Home team, not just Greg, the team took care of the client. So that's why I say I depend on the franchise. I depend on them. They depend on me. We're a great big codependent family. Finally, I'll get off the stage and let you carry on. But I would like to conclude with a paraphrase I made of a very famous prayer by St. Francis of Assisi that, as I thought about what do we as caregivers do. Lord, make me a channel of thy care. Where there is loneliness, let me bring company. Where there is regret, let me bring hope. Where there is sadness, cheerfulness. Where there is paranoia, let me bring calm. Where there is confusion, let me bring clarity. Help me to seek to serve rather than to be served, and to offer care to others rather than to seek care from them. For it is in caring that we fulfill your will for us. Amen, and thank you so much.